So welcome to this edition of the Hermit's Rewind. Today we are watching the 1982 state basketball final. We are joined by Coach Rodeo, Coach Catalana, and a host of the players from that team. Coach Cat, I understand you a couple questions before we start.
Yeah, I want to let the guys let you know that we've got from the team, we have 5 players from that 1982 team. Tom Atanasi, Steve Sicking, Steve Capuccio, Jerry Meese, and Virgil McClendon. And each of the guys are going to chime in with a little bit, but I wanted to throw a couple questions out. Steve Capuccio, you were the guy that either found this tape somewhere or you had it from some obscure cable station that ran the game, and we're going to be able to enjoy it now because you found it and digitized it. How did you get that?
I was at a high school reunion, or I was at the facility one day and someone handed me this VHS from that night, knowing that I was in TV production. And I had it for a while, and within 2 different companies, I digitized it to high definition tape, which I actually have right here, was the first one. And then from there, at another company, I made the DVD copies that I gave around. So this was like a 3 or 4 stage event. And if you look at the very beginning, my friend hacked it and put the scene from the movie back in 1982, I Could Have Been Somebody.
Napoleon Dynamite, yeah.
Napoleon Dynamite.
Yeah.
It was a dickhead move, but at least I didn't have to pay for that work. So.
And for all the young guys out there, or the current students, this is the original Steve Capuccio, not the one that you guys all know. So
that was you have to footnote Farinaccio for that one.
Yeah.
That was his and we can't forget the theme song here. That motivates me. We should
the song
play that before.
Yeah, the song that they're still using to this day, the entrance song to come into.
It should be everyone's alarm clock.
Well, we also have Tom Atanasi, who was a member of that team and now a current coach at St. Augustine, and also superintendent of schools at Stratford and Laurel. Tommy, what's the difference between that team and kind of the kids then and now kids today that you're coaching?
Well, you know what? I think the kids from 82 and today, they're basically the same kids. If you go back to the 82 team, I think one of the reasons why we were so successful was because of the chemistry that we had. I think everybody on the team got along with each other. We always hung out with each other. We broke each other's chops in school, after school. The one thing different from then till today is there was no such thing as AAU basketball. And we were just all in on St. Augustine Prep. We just believed everything that Coach Rodeo said. It was like life and death. We got to school early to play pickup games, to practice. It was St. Augustine basketball and summer league, and we were nothing but all involved and all in on St. Augustine. Not that they're not that today, but they have those other venues that kind of people gravitate towards and kind of listen, and people chirp and this and that. And that's probably one of the biggest differences I see between now and back then.
Yeah. Virgil McClendon would bring Virgil in. Virgil was the only junior on the starting team that year, played a lot of minutes, and actually this game got into some foul trouble. But Virgil, did you feel like sort of pressure being that junior when these other guys, this was it for them, the last game they would play? And you had another year after this.
Actually, I think as a group, first of all,
there he is.
Confident. And I think from the beginning, as just to harp on what Tom was saying, we got along really well. So I came in and I felt part of the group, a lot of cohesion, in particular about Chris Reed and Steve Capuccio and Tommy A. You know, we came, I think we had the mentality. We play a lot of ball in parks and a lot of street ball. And so we had the same type of mentality. So I really, really gelled with this team. And it's just about a mentality of, hey, let's just go out and play ball. And I just comfortable with this group, and I think we felt comfortable and confident each other. So no pressure. I think early on, I think before the season started, we were supposed to. We felt that we were going to go pretty far. That the previous year's team went pretty far, lost in a heartbreaker. All these guys had come back a year old. A lot of confidence, and then certainly as the season went on, there's a tremendous amount of confidence, and we belonged in the state championship game, and so no pressure going into the game. We were, I guess, more anxious than anything, and say, hey, look, let's get this thing done. And so no pressure at all. It was that's where we belonged.
Well, thanks, Virgil. Let me bring in Jerry Meese.
That's where we felt comfortable.
Oh, sorry, you're cutting in and out. Let me bring Jerry Meese in. Jerry, you were only one of two seniors on that team that were there at the school for all 4 years. And did you sense, like Virgil was saying, something special about this team that you wanted to be a part of at your senior year?
Yeah, for sure, actually. Basketball wasn't my sport, and baseball was really my sport in high school. And at the time, I had made a decision. I don't know, Coach, if you remember this, but at the time I had made a decision to not play my senior year. I really wanted to focus on baseball and see what I could do. So right before practice started, Coach said, "Hey, listen, I need somebody who's been there. I need somebody who's what I want, who knows the plays. I don't want to have to bring somebody in or whatever that doesn't know what we've been doing for 4 years already. So why don't you play? And after we're done practice, you can go and work out, do whatever you want to do, lift weights, whatever you want to do in the gym or in the new gym, which was on the side of the court. If you guys remember, I mean, I haven't been there in so long. That's the only court that I remember, the road. So for like 2 weeks, I did that. I said, okay, I'm going to do it. So I practiced with the team. At some point, I cut out and started doing stuff on my own in the weight room. And honestly, after those 2 weeks, I was like, I can't do it anymore. I need to be with the team. I mean, this team I knew everybody. The team had a great chemistry. I felt like I was missing out on all the stuff that was going on. And even though I knew I wouldn't, be a player of the team, I knew I could participate in practices and try to help out that way. So yeah, I definitely felt that there was something going on from the beginning. I mean, we had just no guy who was outstanding, but as a whole, as a group of guys, man, unbelievable. Just great players. Yeah. So.
Yep. Well, let me ask Steve Sicking that. And Steve got a great career at St. Augustine, went on to play at Franklin and Marshall. And Steve, they focus on you a little bit in this game as pointing out as being our top player. I think you were averaging the most, but this really was a really balanced team that you guys had that year.
Absolutely. To me, the championship game was a bit strange because the team we were playing against wasn't your typical team where they didn't really have a center. They didn't have your natural forwards. The fellow that maybe was their biggest guy or certainly their best athlete handled the ball the whole time and was their middle guy and was outside. And it was an odd team. So for me, tough game. But because of our chemistry, I felt like we adapted to the situation. And at some point, they tried to make it, their game and their pace. And we were able to take that back. And really, that's what it came down to. Our team just asserted itself and the will and the plan that we had put together. And because we had really good chemistry, and I'm talking about, through the bench, let's face it, I saw the article that one of you guys sent through. Thank you for doing that, by the way. My memory fails me a bit on this time period. But and seeing that, the bench points were so important for our team and Bayley Ellard had no bench points. I would have never remembered that except for reading the article, but that was the difference. Let's face it. So we went a lot deeper. We had we had a really good team that had been together for a while, and I think that made all the difference.
Yeah. Well, of the group we have here, Steve Sicking, Steve Capuccio, Virgil McClendon were 3 of the 5 starters. Tony Romano, another senior starter. And then, of course, Chris Reed. And as you guys watch the game, you'll see the kind of player Chris was. Unfortunately, Chris passed away just a few years ago. And Steve, you were probably the closest with him probably then and in his later years. Talk a little bit about what kind of player Chris was and what kind of person he was.
Chris was, he was a funny fella because his upbringing was a little different than mine. And yet, as different as our backgrounds were, the primary goal was exactly the same. When we got on that court, it didn't matter where we grew up, how we grew up, even the type of ball that we played. What seemed to work was Coach Rodeo putting a system in that recognized the individual talents that he had and bringing them all together to one cohesive unit that really gelled. That worked. And I would say Chris, it was funny. There wasn't really one person. It was very clear. One game, even one quarter, it might have been one of the starting 5 or starting 8, if you want to say it, that would step up and do or say something that just was needed. And that was constant. And I never felt, while that game did, I agree with you, Dave, there was some, and even in some of the press and stuff, they always want to kind of point towards a person to kind of hang their hat on and name on. But I never felt that way because, Capuccio could take over a quarter in a second. Reed takes over a quarter or a half. Romano, Orlandini, didn't matter who it was. Somebody was stepping up. And it was silly almost to put anybody's name or number to it. And that really made, I think, for the rest of us, very comfortable. Now, Reed didn't mind the spotlight. I will say that. If he had the spotlight, he was okay with it. But there were a lot of us that would have preferred not to have that. And we were okay with that, too. And that's really what made it good.
Yeah, and I think in this game, you actually see that during the game. There are stretches and we'll see that there. This team also had another player on the bench, unfortunately passed away, Rob Ashton, who was also on this 82 team. I don't know if any of the guys have any comments or any recollections of Chris that you guys want to mention before we start the game.
Let me say, I used to drive up from the shore with Chris, and my dad would take me, meet him somewhere, west of Atlantic City, and I would jump in his gold Eldorado. If you remember that car, he would cruise.
Yep, there he is.
We cruise to the prep. But when my dad would pull up and Chris would get out of the car and say hello, he would say, "Hey, Bill, how are you?" Like he was the only guy who called, didn't call my dad Mr. Meese, or whatever from any of the guys that I knew. But it was perfect. I mean, my dad just loved it, and Chris was, in our class, I think that Chris got along with everyone. There was not one person that he didn't connect with in some way, and he was just a great guy.
Yep. Well, I know we could talk a lot, and we could probably keep going on. We're going to get to the game, but Coach Rodeo, we obviously bring you in. This was your 5th year as a head coach. Did you know that this team was ready? Every year your teams got better, got further. Did you know that this team was ready to get to this step?
The night of that game, I was 29 years old. You could have swallowed that one. I didn't turn 30 till June, a couple months after that. I think what everybody has said, the main thing here, and I really felt it, and I don't want to get into or quote the Jordan tape that's coming on a little bit here, but this team had a little bit of a chip on their shoulder. The way we lost the year before, how they beat us, what they had accomplished during the year, how it seemed like a snowball just getting bigger and bigger. I could sense that they were together. Now, I was too young to realize I didn't know if that was enough. I was afraid because this team had beaten St. Anthony so many times, and all I heard is how quick they were. And I just wasn't sure if we were able to, on a big stage like that, to be able to do it. So there was apprehension. However, I felt it in school. I felt it at practice. I just felt this team was about ready to make it happen. And obviously it worked.
Well, it's funny you mentioned that about, tonight as we're taping this, they're doing the documentary of The Last Dance. This was kind of the first dance for you at St. Augustine. It was your first state championship. It was when we really got on the map as a basketball school. And it was this team that you had built for the last few years before that finally got over the hump.
Yeah, no question about it. And obviously, it took us a long time. It's very difficult. People don't realize. You would know because you sat with me. Tommy's been a head coach. Those guys know it's difficult to just get to that game, let alone to win it. Evidenced by how few most people have. So it took us 17 years to get back there and then beat a nationally ranked team to win the thing again. And we've been very, very fortunate. It happens because of chemistry and personnel. You have to have the right kids. You have to have the right players. So we had the right players, but then it comes down to, and I say it all the time, a lot of teams have the right players, but they're not able to mix it together or fix it or find a way to make it all work. That group believed in each other. They liked each other. And that's part of why they won.
Well,
by the way, the one thing I want to end with one thing, and I want to talk during the one question I'm asked all the time. St. Augustine is 0-4 in Tournament of Champions games. 0-4. After that night, we played in 4 more games and lost all 4 of those Tournament Champion games. And obviously the question's asked to me, if there was a TOC that night, that year, would St. Augustine have been able to continue and move on? And obviously, because we never could have an answer, I say 100%.
Yeah, we would have done the whole thing. Well, Tom, like I said, Tom, bro, we could sit and talk like this, but I think it's going to be fun to watch the game. We're all excited to look at it, so let's let it roll.
Wait a second.
1982 graphics here, guys. I don't know who Action Arena TV3 was, but I'm glad they taped the game.
Hey, does anybody remember how bouncy Brendan Byrd Arena floor was? Or was that just me because I was like so excited to be there?
And a piece of metal fell out of the roof.
Yeah.
Yeah, it just missed me.
I heard it. It was insane.
Hello everyone, I'm Matt Laughlin, and in tonight's parochial B-Boys final, we have teams of...
So guys, funny story. This guy, Matt Laughlin, is now he's a professional. He's the play-by-play guy for the New Jersey Devils.
Really?
He went on from this to be a real announcer.
Do we get a credit?
And if they do, they feel they'll come away with a victory. Working with me on tonight's game, Herb Cohen, former head coach at Woodridge High School and now the assistant basketball coach at Stevens Institute of Technology. Herb, as we said, it's a game between teams of contrasting.
I hope I don't look like that when I do the Hermit's broadcasting.
They're very small.
That they are, Matt.
I mean, you could probably get your hair cut that way.
Maybe.
They've had an excellent record over the last 2 years, and the type of game that they're going to have to play tonight is to make sure that they can get St. Augustine to run up and down the court with them from end to end.
Now, St. Augustine can play the transition game, but they don't want to get into a running game.
I think it's so funny when they talk about us needing to run. It's all we do now.
Yeah.
I would imagine that they would try and take advantage of that size advantage which they have. They go about
We scored a lot of points there.
With Bayley, Ellard having perhaps no starter over 6'1" or 6'2", it should be a battle of who can control the tempo, and if St. Augustine can get the ball inside, they're going to be a tough team to be able to defeat tonight.
The man on whom this game may very well hinge plays for Bayley Ellard. He's Don Forster. If he can force his team to run, if he can control the tempo, and he is a player capable of doing so.
Do you guys remember this guy? Was he that? Did you remember the scouting report, Coach? Did you know much about him?
I remembered him. He absolutely torched St. Anthony's.
He ended up going to William Patterson, one of their
Yeah, he only went
all-time best
Division
players.
III.
Yeah.
I played with him my freshman year at William Patterson before I went to Delaware. He was a great kid.
Difficult to stay with in a man-to-man situation.
And the man for St. Augustine, who is the key, is Steve.
Yeah,
Sicking, their
he's pretty
top
smart
receiver.
player, pretty savvy. Well, yeah, foul pro early.
This is so funny because that's not Steve Sicking.
Yeah.
It's Rob Nealis.
It's Rob Nealis, yeah.
All right, so it's cable TV. They don't know.
This is Bayley Ellard's first appearance in any kind of state final in boys basketball. St. Augustine appeared in the state championship back in 1969. But in just a few moments, they'll battle it out for the 1982 title when we return to the Brendan Byrne Arena right after this.
So this arena just opened, right? This was brand new that they were using that. I can't. Do you guys remember feeling like it was so big? I mean,
Huge.
I can't even
huge.
imagine.
Huge.
It was, after we won, we had to go take a team picture. It felt like we had to walk a mile to get where we had to go to for the picture.
Well, and plus, you guys were playing with all the kids know now as Spina Gym, so bigger, but not, like even what they've got now in the Forum to play in something like this.
The crowd you hear in the background excited and waiting for the start of the boys.
Hold on, can you hear this?
From the Brendan Byrne Arena. Let's check the starting lineups for tonight's contest. First, for Bayley Ellard, the forwards Dan Florin and Don Forster. The center is Van Johnson. Everton Byfield and Herb Cotton are in the backcourt, and the coach in his 6th year is Muzz Lindsley. Meanwhile, for the Hermits from St. Augustine, Steve Capuzio and Virgil McClendon.
I don't like the way you said my name.
Yeah.
Starting lineup. Steve Sicking is the center. Tony Romano and Chris Reed are the guards.
I'm trying to play the chase from Midnight Express, but you guys can't hear it.
Of St. Augustine.
The song.
It's 5th season. Coach, can you imagine? Your 5th season.
Yeah.
Our officials for tonight's contest on the left of your screen.
Look at the black collars on the referees' shirts.
Coach, Coach, did you ever run into these two
Yeah,
guys?
the guy on the right we had. You were with me a couple times. I remember going up to you and telling you he's the guy I had in the state final. I forget which game it was. Might have been Trenton Catholic. He's from Trent.
Win or lose, both teams have to be happy.
Foster and Sicking will jump it up, and the taller Sicking controls the tap.
Let's see the game.
It's the same tap play you still run.
Still run it today. Can't believe it.
See the quickness and the pressure defense of the Bishop's supply. Down low, the
It's not broke.
is up and good by Steve
Capuzio, the first bucket.
Nice turnaround move by Capuzio that time. Right away, they go after that height advantage.
Man-to-man defense employed by the Hermits. Byfield's jumper no good.
Never
And
a great footballer.
down by Capuzio. Tony Romano, smallest player on the floor for St. Augustine at 5'7".
In Jersey.
Here's McClendon. Last touch, they say, by McClendon, so Bayley Ellard will have it. 7 minutes, 20 seconds left to play.
First bad call of the night.
We've got a long way to go. It's 2-0 in favor of St. Augustine.
You got mad early.
They're real bad.
So, Coach, if they were as quick as they said, why man-to-man?
Well, the thing that saved us in this game, because we had played man-to-man just about every second of every game up until that point, but probably one of the things that helped us the most in this game was going to the 2-3, because they didn't shoot the ball extremely well. It was more of swirl what it was supposed to be.
Inside move is good.
Don't worry, Cat. We're moving more to zone as we goes on. We're moving more to the zone.
The more you watch your man-to-man, the more you go to zone, huh?
I blame Augie Fabietti 100%.
Unless the Hermits can handle this pressure, I think Bayley Ellard will have the advantage, even though they have such a height disadvantage.
Well, the Bishops had a height disadvantage in the North Jersey final against St. Anthony's, the defending state champion from Jersey City. They came away with a 52-46 victory. Here's McClendon on the follow.
Yeah, Virgil, that was the only way Virgil got the ball because nobody was passing the ball. On this team, nobody passed.
Wait,
Go,
With the lead.
can I clap for the ball yet?
Well, like Jordan,
The Hermit lineup, and
also,
now
you
he's
know.
sticking on the steal. Senior brings it across, thinks it himself on the nice move, doesn't get the hoop. Van Johnson the other way. Foster has it knocked away and taken down by Capuzio. And here's a steal by Byfield. Foster.
Racehorse basketball at its best, and this seems to be the kind of game that Bayley Ellard would like to play.
Nice save by the Bishop.
not handling the press real well right there.
No, we did not.
Although Tony did handle it pretty well as you watched through the game.
Yeah, he did.
He did. He a lot of pressure. He handled it. And Chris and David too.
Fake as the man goes by him and he lays it in. Foster's got all 4 points so far.
We are tied at 4. Sicking charged with his first personal, second on the team.
First of many personal fouls on Sicking in this game.
26-3
I didn't foul anybody that night.
You had some crazy fouls in this game.
Like I said, it was an odd game for me because I was not playing your typical, your typical personnel. Usually the teams had a center, and a lot of times they were bigger than us. But this was a weird one.
Hey, Capuch, I noticed they kept talking about Don Forster, but I see who was on him to start the game. That was you, wasn't it, Capuch?
Not well. Let's not look at the first 2 baskets. Let's say I had a bad defensive first start, but then I got mad.
But they will try and run. Foster's all right, back on the
Coach, who
floor.
was the best defensive player on that team? Probably David coming off the bench, but
Virgil was sneaky quick, by the way, defensively, as the guy goes. Is that by but yeah. Virgil was a guy that I would have trusted on a lot of guys, and Stevie played good defense. Caboose.
So here comes David. Virgil just picked up his second.
I think Virgil got 2 early. Yeah.
Yeah, he's got 2 right there, and they just.
I'll walk right on
David
board.
Yep.
With those 2 personals. Nice pass inside.
Ooh, nice pass.
Excellent.
Sicking was just standing there, just standing around on that one, I think.
Byfield credited with the assist, and again, the Bishop's pressure.
Threw it away. The old coach Rodeo didn't call timeout. The new coach Rodeo probably already used 2.
He's 2 or 3. There he is. There's the old coach Rodeo.
Paul Rodeo, the head coach of St. Augustine. He can't like what he sees here. He sees his team in a 6-4 ball game, but they are not in control of things right now. It's not an easy or a good situation for the Hermits. Orlandini, new player in the ball game, has the rebound. Here's Sicking.
It's in.
And we get a foul before the shot, I believe. Will be charged.
So, Coach,
to
you were a running team then?
Yeah, I mean, I heard one of the guys just say on here, we scored a lot of points. We could score. We would get up and down the floor. And that's when we were at our best with this group, so I let them play. I didn't think that was the way to do it against this team.
Seems like you're getting up and down a little bit.
Well, I didn't want that, really. I remember in the locker room talking to them about not getting caught up and doing that. But, they were pressing, trapping, and then you had that age-old argument, when you beat the press, you pull it out, you go try to score. And we were used to trying to score. So we were a pretty good team that got up and down the floor.
A colleague of mine whom I went to school with has followed St. Augustine all year long, and he says there's not a better free throw shooting team around.
That's true.
6-5 ball game.
Now you go to the zone.
Now we're in the 2-3.
Yeah.
In the first quarter.
And I think this, if nothing else, it slowed them down.
Yeah.
Which of your assistants told you to do that?
Don Casolaro.
Dave Orlandini charged with the foul, 4th on the Hermits.
Yeah, that's the first of many on David too in this game.
Slow this tempo down a little bit. They're playing right into the smaller Bishop's hands at this time.
And Bayley Ellard has a 3-point lead at 8-5. Don Forster has 6 of the 8 points. Dan Flooring credited with the other basket. So you look at Muzz Lindsley speaking with his club. Both teams seated number 1 in their section.
There's the original, the Richland Rowdies of a long time ago.
That's right.
He had a pretty good crowd.
I'm in there. I'm in there somewhere, Coach. I don't know.
We definitely had a good crowd. I was trying to explain to Steve, he said with me, how many people you think were there that night, Cat?
I don't know. We had a few buses, but it didn't matter. It didn't
I'm not
matter.
our people. I mean total in that place that night.
Couldn't have been, I don't know, a couple thousand maybe.
Yeah. There was a game after us. Was there a game after us? Right behind the game stuff right after
The girls' game, I think.
And he has been very successful in the 2
I got a random question. The 3-point line. Is high school only 2s?
No 3-point line. I
yeah.
to the late 80s.
That's the pro line from the Nets.
Yeah, I was going to say it was far back, so I assumed you guys didn't have 3s at this point.
Cat, did you just notice back to the man after the timeout?
Yeah.
Pass inside.
One of your assistants told you that too?
Yes, definitely.
Castellaro was on the bench.
Yeah, he was.
Sam Tropiano, and of course Tom Bono.
Tom Bono.
College are doing that these days.
Traveling violation called against Steve Capuzio.
How many turnovers do we have already?
I was going to say.
We had a lot in the first quarter.
I had a lot.
It doesn't seem like this patterned offense they were talking about. It seems like a lot of one-on-one.
At this point, yes.
So the seedings hold up as both teams meeting.
Was it man-to-man because Orlandini was in then to cover?
Yeah, probably. I mean, I thought we could play them man, but I think you're going to see in the second half a lot more.
Absolutely, and by getting
another turnover.
They wind up right here in the Meadowlands. Forster. Can he play?
He's a tremendous ball player. Very, very quick and can leap. He can play the game very, very well. And another turnover charge against St. Augustine. And right now things are going.
Mike Spidell.
Doggy.
Becomes Doggy.
People had heard of Don Forster before he came here. I have a feeling by the time he's through, people will remember his name among the best of them that played here this weekend.
Another substitution made.
Mike's in there to create havoc.
Mike Spidell comes on.
Around.
And sitting on the bench, Steve Capuzio. Here's Florent from the outside. He's playing with a bad ankle. Shot was short, and the rebound comes down to the Hermits.
Bathroom break.
Yeah, that was a break.
Will substitute freely. They will play up to 10 players per game. Meanwhile,
St. Augustine will substitute freely. You can say that now too, can't you, Tom?
Spidell, or rather Orlandini, misses on the layup. Here's Orlandini in the corner. Nice pass inside, and Sicking.
There we go.
This is the easy basket. Follows it up and is fouled. Herb Cotton charged with the foul. Just the second team foul on Bayley Ellard. Sicking will be at the line.
That's one thing. Steve Sicking could really rebound for us that year. He was unbelievable on the boards.
What do you guys remember about Doggy, about Mike Spidell, who just came in?
Crazy.
Tough kid. I got news for you. Later in this game, he sets the pick heard around the world coming to win the game for us.
This is the second.
I think it's his pick.
It is.
Reed steals it. And
There was Chris being sneaky quick.
Yep.
Reed puts it up from outside, and he's got it.
Smooth.
Yeah.
They're so smooth.
You're right, Cat. Later on, Chris really controls this game. I mean, he does so many things that take control of the game.
And stays so calm. Never changes.
The whole time.
There's Doggy with the board.
Orlandini, just a sophomore. Foul will it count? It would have, but it doesn't go in. Foul is called.
Tell you what, we lived at
Against Bayley, Ellard, Dan Florent.
slow the tempo, kept it close to us.
So, Coach, David was only a sophomore here.
Yeah.
When did you know? I mean, you see during this game a couple of times he takes it. When did you know he was going to be as good as he turned out to be?
I'm not sure if it was 7th grade or 6th grade. but I had seen him a lot because of Bobby. I had seen him in I thought in 8th grade he was going to be really, really good. Freshman year, he was okay. This year, he had a good year. And in this game, he played really well as the game progressed. But he had all those attributes. Not afraid of anything. Wanted to get fouled late. Didn't miss foul shots. Just did a little bit of everything. I thought in the middle of this year is when I thought he could be a Division I player.
Seconds left to play in the first quarter.
I remember my brother was on the. There's a break. My brother was on the team the year before, and he said all those guys kept hearing about this Orlandini kid. And then when he finally got on the floor, they were all like, "Oh yeah, he really is that good."
Yeah, he definitely was good.
He had unbelievable court sense too. Like he was always around the ball.
That's probably his biggest asset. He just knew that he had great instinct basketball.
Yeah, he really did have great instincts.
And never got tired. His motor.
That was Sicking rejecting that shot. Here he is on the other end.
They want to pull it out and hold for one shot right now.
8 seconds left. Orlandini fakes, puts his man in the air. Off glass, no good. Ball tapped out to Romano with 2 seconds left. And we will end things in the first quarter with St. Augustine after being frustrated by the much quicker Bayley, Ellard, Bishops coming back in the latter portion from the...
Yeah, Coach, I gotta believe. I mean, you didn't play really that well. You're still right. You're right in it at the end of the quarter. I mean,
yeah, as I said, I was young and I was trying to really get a feel for the whole game, and I hadn't been in a game like that, and I wasn't sure how we would. And I thought, you know, we didn't play well against their pressure, but I thought that we did a pretty good job of controlling inside play the way I thought we had to do to win the game. And as the game progressed, we got more and more comfortable. Notice that the jump after one of these.
And remember, late in the game, there's no alternating possession. There was a huge jump ball in the overtime, I think.
But we used to run that play. You'll see us as it set up and box out kind of out of it, and we got that tap, which we really needed.
I think you won every tap in the game because there were no alternating possession. I think you won every one.
Another turnover.
Yeah, so winning the tap really didn't matter.
No, not when you throw right away.
Well, for Bayley Ellard to be able to win, they're going to need more than.
Yeah, we did get every tap, and they didn't score in overtime. Those are two big factors.
Substitution, Brian Quinn came in.
Back to the man-to-man.
At the start of the second quarter, he's wearing number 13
it's the pros.
for Bayley Ellard.
This is where the no.
There's Byfield's jumper.
Yeah.
Everton Byfield has his first points in the game, and it's a 12-11 lead for Bayley Ellard. Here's Chris Reed. No good. Rebound taken down by Foster. And it's stolen. And a foul call.
There it is. Steve, there's that sneaky quickness.
Yeah.
It's a big steal right there.
Perhaps that's why they've had him playing in the backcourt. He was able to slap that ball away, almost converted a three-point play, but will go to the line.
I think he was playing in the backcourt because he didn't want to go anywhere near the basket, right?
St. Augustine has gone to the line.
He didn't want to be in the paint.
For 6 shots. Meanwhile, Bayley Ellard has yet to make an appearance at the line. Chris Reed has 3 points, looking for his 4th. He makes them both, and it's a...
They hadn't shot a foul shot yet. Tommy A will tell you how many times a year I say, make more foul shots than the other team shoots, and you're going to win the game. And we're right on pace here.
We get a foul as Byfield's basket counts, and I believe the foul is going to be called against St. Augustine. The basket will count. The foul was not on Byfield. We'll look at the replay, see if we can pick up the foul.
Okay, there's Byfield, makes a nice spin move and goes up for the jumper. There it is, right underneath the basket.
Oh, ticky-tack.
Yeah,
Orlandini.
watching that.
Yeah.
On Forster as...
And notice you're not yelling, though, Coach. You're very calm.
Very calm.
It's a long season.
No harm. Ball don't lie.
Bayley Ellard with a 1-point lead. 6 minutes.
Who was this, our 30th game?
To play in the first half.
Yeah.
Yes.
Orlandini takes it all
Nice
the
move.
way,
See that
and
move?
That's
David was great at that.
David.
I can
Yep.
see why he was playing as a freshman. He is very fluid, has an awful
Freshman.
lot of poise out there for a 10th grader.
Byfield with a strong individual effort.
Little circus move on that one, but this is typical of Bayley Ellard. They get most of their points from Byfield and Foster, and if the other players can fulfill their role positions, then they can be in the ball game all the way.
Quinn grabs the rebound, and Bayley Ellard has a chance to take a 3-point lead. Here's Byfield. Quinn will take the jumper. Way off, right into Forster's hand.
Coach, what was the league like at that point? Were you in the Cal? Were you,
No, we were
playing during the season?
independent. We went in the league
Forster had
next year. We won the league, the next Orlandini and Virgil. But this year was independent.
I think
we lost twice. Once to Camden Catholic and
Holy Spirit was the
once
other.
to Holy Spirit.
I think you played Ossie Votek about 6 times that year.
Once.
Your mic's not working, Kat. I can't hear you anymore.
Well, Mies, that's when you got your minutes, right?
That's right. Let's put those games in there for me.
That was a nice play by Chris Reed. Chris Reed does take over this game. He should have been. Who was the MVP in this game?
Forrester was, and it was
Who
over.
didn't know that?
Chris got robbed. I mean, there's no question he controlled it. Well, definitely the overtime, but the whole fourth quarter.
The fact that it was partially blocked going up. He has 10 points. It's 18-17.
We did do a lot better as the game progressed. Put the
Yeah,
beat
definitely
pressure.
settled down.
I think they got tired a little bit too.
Yeah,
Or at least
they were there. Fourth quarter, overtime, they were done.
Tony Romano will come back into
And that's the hallmark of a good St. Augustine team, or your typical St. Augustine team. Right? You're in great shape and make your foul shots.
So Orlandini just got his 3rd.
Did he really?
Yeah, he had an offensive foul, which another phantom call.
Puts it up by the rebound. Here's Forster, loses it off his foot to McClendon. McClendon 1-on-1 with Johnson. Nice move behind the back. And is fouled.
That's a vintage Virgil move right there. A little up and under.
Verge was smooth with all that.
He was.
Very smooth.
He looked like Jordan a little bit on that move.
He did. I never took a straight shot. Right? I was always pumping and dipping and diving and something. I don't know.
Virgil probably doesn't remember when I thought Virgil was really going to be a good player. He had a great game at St. James one night. Do you remember that night, Virg?
No.
You had a great game at St. James.
At St. James.
At St. James, you were younger, and I remember going home saying, he's going to be a big-time player, and you started to come into your own. That's you.
That was a sophomore.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. The year before this, I guess.
Yeah, it was the year before, exactly. Actually, I asked to come out of that game.
I don't remember that, but
That doesn't happen now. Does it, Tommy? That doesn't happen now, does it?
Basket is no good, but he was fouled on the drive. Foul was called against Tony Romano, his first. So Brian Quinn will step to the line.
Now you see what's happened to Tony Romano right there? He was on the ground tying his shoe.
Quinn, a 6-foot junior.
His shoelace broke. Because that's how I got into the game. and Jerry Reese, when I went in, Jerry says, you know, this is an Aussie Tech now, right?
Hey, Tommy, you and I were the original bench mob, you know.
Listen, Jerry, you remember when you scored your 1,000th layup point during warm-ups?
I do.
You were celebrating on the bench.
You got to realize, Kat, how tight this group was. When his shoelace broke and he came out, Tommy went in the game, and Jerry Meese had a scissors and was cutting him again. So that's how they work, those guys.
I kept them in my sock.
Now, okay, Coach, this is
there, it just fell.
Yeah.
Something fell off. And
Yeah, it's that piece of metal.
The roof came and
Right,
landed
yeah.
right into the floor.
I felt the wind of it. It was insane.
It would have hit. I think it was near Virgil, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, it was
No,
close to me. I felt it. Look back, felt, I don't know, 8 feet behind me.
But
they
like,
couldn't. They had to wedge it out.
Yeah, it was deep into the wood.
but look, just play on. I mean, there could be other pieces. Just,
Yeah, right.
They had the damage.
Imagine that. What kind of lawsuit?
Bayley Ellard has switched defenses as well.
Now they went to a zone and we put Chris in the middle and hit the little little bucket right away.
That look, though. He has 6 points here in the second quarter, 8 in the ball game, and it's a 3-point St. Augustine lead under 4 minutes to play. Reminder that at halftime, our guest will be Ed Strohmeyer, veteran official, as Everton Byfield now has 8 points, all in the second quarter.
There's your 2-3, he said.
This is all they did. Just ran at you.
Yeah. Well, once we settled in, there's a 3-on-1. Stevie just went right up.
Right.
Some of those statements.
What was the largest lead we had during the game? Anybody know?
I don't know that.
I'm watching it. I think it was it was definitely the end. I think it was at 6, but I don't think it was maybe 4 during the game.
Chris Reed, when charging into Herb Cotton.
We were down like 5, 6, 7
Yeah.
at one, right?
There's Tommy, eh?
There it is.
Tommy.
I was trying to give Tony my shoe. You really look at Tony tying it. Look at Tony behind it.
Screen comes into the ball game for the Hermits.
The assistant coaches were trying to get Tony back out there too.
Hurry up,
I'm
Tony.
sure.
Cotton, a senior, 5'9".
You give him a couple good minutes here, Tom. You don't hurt him
I
at
do.
all.
I struggled on my first
I was
pass.
just going to say the same thing, Kat. He does not hurt them at all. He does really well.
Important free throws here.
I did struggle on the first pass, realizing it wasn't Ozzie Tech at the time.
Beast, how many shoelaces would have had to break for you to get it?
Man. How many are on the roster? 10? 11?
The Hermits in their zone. Florin's jumper, no good. Ball tapped around. Down low, Johnson shot, no good. Foster inside.
And they really banged the boards right there.
Yeah.
12 points now for Don Forster.
Tom, you were going the other way, Tom.
Here we go. Just give it to Sicking.
Brings it outside
Right.
as Bayley Ellard settles back into their defense. They have switched back to a man-to-man. Sicking fakes the outside shot, has the ball knocked away.
Well, I don't think anybody was expecting a pass there, Sicking.
Oh.
Nice pass down low, ball put up and in, and Don Forster has come alive in the last few minutes.
What tremendous body control underneath the basket and great eyes by Byfield to get the ball to him.
2-point lead for Bayley Ellard at 25-23. Approaching the 2-minute mark. Down
There we go.
Fast pass.
Not Tommy.
See that? That could have been assisted up like that.
Byfield puts up the jumper right into Florin's hands. His follow, no good. And Sicking at 6'5".
Go, this is how you kick the ball off the floor, right here.
Bingo, right there.
How is that a charge?
That's an awful call.
That's a bad call. Is that Spinelli?
They were getting the advantage inside. There is no advantage if they're going to run.
That was number
down the
3.
court.
Yeah,
That
number
was
3.
3.
Yeah.
We were in some foul trouble in the beginning.
Right,
Yeah.
now that I'm noticing here, Orlandini and Verge both with 3.
Yep.
I mean, I didn't realize how early Sicking fouled out.
Yeah, I mean, he got him in a bunch there in that third,
Yeah.
that fourth quarter.
Is that zone, that patented Syracuse zone.
Yep.
Florin goes to Cotton. 1:26 left. Florin's outside jumper is good. Virgil McClendon is the player who checked out of the lineup for St. Augustine. Here's Sicking, toes it away.
Another turnover.
Oh, good.
Hit the ball.
Now of switching their pressure defenses from a three-quarter, sometimes full, and then now they just brought it back to half court. Always trying
They were playing into our hands. We knew exactly what we were doing.
There you go, Steve.
Another jumper, and he cans it. Dan Florin
We'd be yelling you to get out of the zone, Coach.
Yeah.
Ike would be yelling at you. Get out of the zone.
Under 1 minute to play in the first half. 50 seconds showing.
Chris, nice and calm. Look at that.
What are we down here?
Like 6 or 7.
Goes inside and Sicking picks it up and a foul.
I think they went on a 10-0 or 8-0 run.
Big.
Well, that's a big bucket right there by Stevie.
That's huge. Reed makes the pass, but that's huge because he gets the and one here, cuts it to 3.
Gets his hands on it,
Yeah.
and just power moves right up to the basket, in for the basket, and a foul on the play.
Forster charged with the foul for Don Forster. That is his second personal. Sicking at the line, looking for his 9th point on the game, and he has it. And just that quickly, a 6-point deficit is cut to 3. 29-26, 40 seconds left. Let's see if Bayley Ellard elects to hold for one. It looks
So,
like
Coach,
they will.
40 seconds left. You're in foul trouble, but you come out of the zone to force it. Would you? That doesn't seem something that you would probably let it go now,
I think
right?
I would.
Let
I
him
mean,
hold
we
the
were in
ball.
foul trouble. I don't. Yeah.
But you went and played him a little bit here.
I was hoping they would rush one. They were trying to hold. I thought maybe they'd rush one, throw one up, and get another opportunity. And they had hit a couple jumpers.
Well, as evidenced by your St. Pat's game this year, I think you would have just let him hold the ball.
Yeah.
Ball's taken down by Spidell, and that's how things will end here in the first half. We have completed 16 minutes of basketball, and our score at the half: Bayley Ellard 29, St. Augustine 26. We'll be back with the halftime show right after this.
So, Tom, before you go run into this, we go in the second half. We certainly don't need that interview with the other guy, but Coach, so, or guys, what do you anybody remember the halftime? Was Coach calm, fired up? You know, what was the locker room like?
We got it.
Yeah, I remember. I think we were kind of had the approach that we were in good shape, similar to what you said earlier. We had to beat their pressure, and I thought we started to do that a little bit better. We looked more under control. My biggest concern, without saying it to them, is we were in foul trouble. But I felt confident. I thought we could stay with this team. And this isn't one that, you know, it wasn't the next 10 years of what I had to deal with, where I just never felt at halftime we had a chance. You know, but I thought we had a shot. I thought something had to go our way.
Kat, I got to tell you that from my perspective, I know I was with Capuccio and Reed a lot. The only thing we were talking about was what kind of award we would get, like a jacket or a ring. We weren't sure, so we were trying to figure that out more than.
I thought it was what kind of party are we going to have after we win the game?
Yeah, it wasn't a lot about basketball. Coach was talking basketball, but we already knew what we had done wrong, so it was just a matter of what we were going to get after.
How did the third quarter start for us? I don't remember that.
Well, one thing that was odd was you started Rob Nealis in the third quarter, who didn't play in the first half at all. And he actually gets a couple.
Sicking was in foul trouble.
No, it wasn't for Sicking. He wasn't in foul trouble yet. He started in Virgil's place.
Yeah.
Well, that's me thinking ahead that I would need Nealis to hit 2 foul shots later in the game.
Yeah,
He hits him some time.
He actually hits the first 2 buckets for you here.
Yeah, he does.
And
great coaching move that was.
All time.
Another tip. Yep. That size advantage.
And we threw it away again.
Turn it over.
Twice we did that. Are you kidding me?
That was me. I make up for it.
Yeah, you do, Steve.
Coach, I got to tell you, I've watched this game a number of times. It always shocks me at the end when we come out ahead.
Yeah.
That's what I was thinking about at halftime. I'm fucking this
That's how
up.
we won. We must have known the scorekeeper.
Yeah.
God bless. There
There
you go.
you go. 4-0 run to start.
So what are we down? 7?
Yeah, 7.
Yep.
Crazy.
We're just reeling them in, guys. We're just reeling them in.
You do go to a little more pattern, go right inside here.
Yeah.
Needed a bucket. And Nealis gets it for you.
Nealis saw no action in the first half. He's a 6'5" junior. Has started things here in the second half. Has his first 2 points. First 2 points in the second half for the Hermits. It's 33-28. Sicking, and they say he stepped on the line on the fast break.
Sicking did a great
Oh, my
job coming
God.
up to block that shot by Florin at the last minute.
Right in front of us, ball will be inbounded by Florin, goes to Byfield. Florin and Forster are the forwards. The center is Van Johnson. Byfield and Herb Cotton are the guards as the rebound's taken down by Sicking. For the Hermits, Tony Romano and Chris Reed are the guards. Down low as we set the forwards, the shot is good.
Hey, Tommy, that's the break. There's the secondary break.
Are the guards. Sicking is the center, and Nealis has 4 points.
Where was he in the first
I didn't realize he had 4 points right away for us.
Yeah.
The guy just said, where was he in the first half?
An additional height advantage. Ball thrown away down low. Muzz Lindsley pacing the sideline. He's up and down constantly.
Muzz looks like he's been through a war.
Coach, did you ever run into this coach again later on?
Never saw him again, ever.
He actually read an article. He passed away 2 years ago. He was living down in Florida. He was at a couple different schools, but yeah.
I didn't know.
Away from the ball. I think Byfield was.
Hey, Meese, get a layer time.
Hey, there you go. Thanks, Cat.
That's all right. I'm sitting up there somewhere.
This is a big team in the ball game now for the Hermits. 6'3" guard and a 5'7" guard, and they go 6'5", 6'5", and 6'3" up front. There's a jumper that is good, and now we get a whistle as Florin appears to have re-injured.
Is that a 2.5 or a 3?
He had that protected in the first half.
These guys, from here to the rest of the game, somebody keeps turning ankles. Every time you turn around, another one of their guys gets taken off.
For these games, and a great trainer Vito is out of Sayreville High School. Checks out Florin says, I'm okay.
If Danny Florin can't go, that's going to really put a cramp into what the Bishops are trying to do. Florin, I think, came through with a very quiet 8 to 10 points so far in the ball game, and where everything seems to be Forster and Byfield, Florin has really helped the cause.
We get a foul called against Sicking. Away from the ball, Steve Sicking.
That's the second one you had, but it's like the first one of these like away from the ball kind of weird fouls.
Yeah, I was a cheap player back then. It only got worse.
Romano in front of his bench. Inside it goes. Here's Nealis. No good rebound. Tapped around. Comes down to Forster.
I think Nealis was feeling it there.
Yeah, he was feeling it. Didn't have.
Rebound cleared by Nealis. Only the second miss by Forster from the field. Pass breaks the other way. And Romano can't come up with it. Here's Cotton. And now things will slow down because Bayley Ellard has called for a time.
So, Coach, they called the timeout there, but what were you thinking? I mean, you're starting to get a little out of control.
It was getting out of hand, is what I was thinking. We were getting caught up just running up and down.
Well against the pressure defense, and
you know, and I know I'm probably here looking for more continuity.
That's awesome video right there.
What do you guys remember of the huddles, of his huddles in there?
Yelling at me.
They were encouraging
motivating me, I mean.
There you go. Thanks, Stevie.
The Hermits made one appearance, and that was a successful trip back in 1969 when a championship was contested on the parochial C level. C and B levels were combined into just
tough shot.
And since
decent defense, tough shot.
Jersey final, but this is the first time they've advanced since it's gone to the B.
You know, Dave, by this time, we as a team know that we are competitive with this team, and in actuality, we know we should win this game. Honest to goodness, we knew we should win this game. It simply comes down to execution, making sure we play as a team, and whether that happened would be dependent upon whether we win. I actually don't think we had. Obviously, you're looking at a game. I know personally, I didn't have a great game in this game. I think the team could. We've played many games that were better than this. But we kind of stayed with it. We stayed with it the whole time, and it worked out.
Davis had our best game that night.
Right, but look at that. There, Capucci just had a couple in a row. Yeah, everybody took a turn being the guy that had a couple good minutes. and then it was like Chris took you home at the end.
But that's how we did it all season.
All year long. Yep.
Herb Cotton has 3 points, and the Bishops take a 1-point lead.
St. Augustine is looking to double up on both Byfield and Forster, and guys like Cotton are going to have to make those jump shots that are uncontested.
Making them earn it.
Cotton guarding Romano. Goes to Sicking. Man-to-man defense by Bayley Ellard.
Coach, you remember what that set was?
Mercutio.
Well, I don't remember what we called it. That was that's that Temple set, that 1, 2, I think 10.
10. It was 10.
There you go.
No, not at all.
Reese, you still remember?
I remember 10. Absolutely. Coach used to say, when you come back and visit me later on, you're going to ask me, how was 10 doing?
What a great move inside.
What was 1?
He has all the tools.
Zone offense.
Yeah.
For Forster.
What are we
Again,
down? 3?
away
3
at the
points.
forward position. Sure, he'll make some college
It's a
coach
good
happy
move
with
there,
the goal.
Tony. Tony was always good for one of them.
The other way.
Yeah.
Romano picks up his first
That was a
point
good
in
move by
the ball
Tony.
game. It's 39-38. Here's Byfield.
Tony had a tough job with this team.
Yes,
You
he did.
guys all wanted the ball. tough to be a point guard with you guys.
Everybody's always mad at Tony.
As I look to the bench, I see
Throw me the ball.
Throw me the ball.
You'll see him come back into the ball game, bad ankle and all, as Byfield connects from the corner. He has 12 points.
Oh, thanks to the fancy
Looks like
trainer.
This game may go right down to the wire. Both teams playing exceptionally well under the pressure.
Reed is fouled as he puts up the shot. Byfield charged with the foul, his
Nice.
second. 2 players come on as we take a look at Dave.
So,
Orlandini.
Coach,
He and Virgil
you're going back to
McClendon have
both
come on.
Virgil and David here, about 2.5 minutes, I think he said, with fouls.
Yeah.
What are you thinking? It's not really getting out of hand, but you're going to go with both of them with 3 fouls.
Well, I think I remember saying to myself, I needed more speed. I needed them out there a little bit to try to control them at the other end. And they, for the whole year, they were the guys that gave me that spurt through different games. Though you needed, maybe Davey O can make a play, maybe Virgil gets a big play, late here and make this an 8-minute game. And I don't remember if David had that big move. That was in the 4th quarter, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ball comes
Yep.
down to Orlandini. Sophomore brings it across with the left-hand dribble. Here's Reed. He'll put it up from way outside.
Smooth.
No question about that one. He was looking
Smooth.
for the ball and just pulled up his foot, ready to cock that shot as soon as he touched it.
Here's another look.
Boy, that's not an understatement. He was ready to shoot it as soon as he touched it.
Tied at 41. Byfield watched by Orlandini. Here's Forster down low. Doesn't get it. Look at him get the rebound. Blocked
That
from
kid's a pretty good
behind by
rebounder, better than
Nealis.
I-
Foul is called against Bob Nealis, and Forster did an excellent job of following up his shot.
Yes, he did, and I have a feeling we're seeing a Division I candidate.
Tie, look at that tie completely all the way up, Coach.
And
not the
just
tie pulled down
underneath
at
the
all.
basket. He's able to handle himself very well.
Yeah, it was very cool, calm, and collected in those
But
days.
he has all the tools to be able to become a
Is that a mustache, Coach? How long did that
Big,
last?
yeah, big time mustache. It looked like I was ready to go make a porno flick after that.
How long did the mustache last? When did you chop that off?
I would say I got rid of that mustache in the middle 80s. Before before Paulie was born, he was born in 90, I know that. In the 80s, late 80s.
Coach, my father asked me, but did he throw his watch?
Oh, no, I did that once. I lost a Seiko my wife gave me. I threw that in Williamstown. I sent the manager to go get it. He brought it back in 11 pieces.
Yeah, okay, he took his tie off, but did he throw his watch?
Byfield between the legs, puts up the short jumper. And Byfield and Forster are proving to be an outstanding tandem. 44-43, 1-point lead for the Bishops. It'll count as Orlandini fouls Everton Byfield. And that's the fourth.
What's that, 4 for him?
That's 4.
And that play brought all the fans from Bayley Ellard to their feet. We certainly have a 1-2 punch between these two young men.
Orlandini will come out of the ball game. Steve Capuzio comes back on. Everton Byfield will be.
Coach David was in foul trouble a lot, right?
Yeah, he was active, but he was in foul trouble when he was a junior and senior too. That's the way he played. He played 90 miles an hour all the time.
He makes the three-point play, and it is a 47-43 Bayley Ellard lead. 42 seconds left to play in the third quarter. McClendon outside, it goes to Romano. Here's Capuzio. He can hit from there.
Every time we needed a big bucket, that's another big bucket Stevie hits there.
During the course of the season, he also averaged.
That was always a money shot for Capuzio on the wing.
He has 10 points, 8 here in the third quarter. 17 seconds left.
Calling for the ball.
Warren working with that bad left ankle. Forster.
They could never get past that 4 to 6 point. You guys always came back with something.
21 points.
Kid was tough.
Forster, 2 seconds left. McClendon's jumper is no good. And play has ended here in the third quarter. Bayley
So down 4, Coach, down 4.
Yeah.
It's easy to feel comfortable now because we know the outcome, but were you nervous? I guess.
I obviously was nervous. Did we turn this over again or no?
No.
And we are in the parochial B boys final between St. Augustine and Bayley Ellard. This is the Hermits of St. Augustine with the ball. McClendon's jumper, no good. Capuzio has the rebound. Here's Reed from the corner.
Reed.
Here it comes.
This is fourth quarter.
It's
It's a 49.
Again, we needed a bucket there, and he got
in the
it.
midst of just a tremendous championship game. You couldn't have asked for any more excitement between these two clubs.
Byfield on the follow is no good, and the rebound comes down to Capuzio.
Tough rebound, Steve.
Yeah, big one.
Dan Florin picks up his second, the third on the Bishops here in the second half. Both clubs experience.
Was there trash talking in the 80s? Did these guys say? I see a couple times you were helping guys up and all. You guys remember?
Nice
This guy.
Experience. 4 seniors in the starting lineup for St. Augustine. 5 seniors start for Bayley Ellard.
Big rebound for Chris.
Puts up the jumper. No good. Forster has it. We will have an official timeout because Everton Byfield collapsed across the way in a heap, and he appears to have injured his ankle. Vito Racine is.
They did have a lot of ankles.
Yeah.
And it was bad enough for the Bishop's effort
That might be their Achilles heel.
Went out and is playing.
Good line, I like it.
But Everton Byfield, who has scored 17 points, has been very, very important also, and they cannot afford to lose him. Some of the fans who have come on to see tonight's ball game. There's a good crowd on hand. Of course, this arena does see.
So, Coach, they said they never made it back. They had never been there. They never made it back, and I guess school closed in, I think, 05.
Yeah.
Another one. They never
made it back after that 80.
Well, plus the fact that St. Anthony, they could have been good all those years, but St. Anthony's went on their runs from there.
Yeah.
Some more games to come your way over TV3 from this arena. The girls Group 1 matchup. Jim Wise and Karen Fusello on the call. You can catch all that action later on tonight as Morris Catholic and Gloucester Catholic, 2
It's got to be weird. Like now, like Coach, you were saying before about the Tournament of Champions. Yeah. Like this was it, no matter what.
No matter what, this was it, yeah.
Last game.
Winning streak in history at 52 games.
You knew you were going to be playing in your last high school game.
Byfield,
go get a job.
Has come back on. Byfield is being looked at.
Hey, Tommy, you were talking about AAU earlier. The other thing I found was interesting. They were talking about Forster and some of the other guys. Like, they hadn't decided where they were going to school yet. Like, now, good players, they're already committed during the season or earlier.
Yeah. A whole different ball game today.
You could have already signed your national letter of intent by the fall for basketball.
Yeah.
Could have been somebody.
Florin inside loses the handle. Sicking, however, will be called for the foul.
Oh.
I think
That's
I had as
three.
many fouls as points.
That's points.
Okay, so coach, he's got 3 here. You don't take him out. I mean, it's
I
still the
think at
4th.
this point, it's a state championship. It's within a few points. You gotta,
Arnold.
I remember I went back to Davey O pretty quick here too. I think. I don't remember. I remember him being out there on a
Yes, you did.
point, but now it's
Make that 9 in this ball game. And Herb, as you mentioned, you can have your stars, but you've got to have the players to fill the other roles of hustling and diving for the ball and playing just good, solid basketball. And Dan Florida, that kind of a player.
Absolutely.
We get a foul on the rebound. Capuzio fouls Forster. First on Capuzio, however.
I'm going to write him a letter.
Over the limit, so Forster will go to the line. He has scored 20.
Everybody's got fouls, Steve. How did you only have 1?
Right now, with Byfield on the sidelines, Foster
no
becomes the main man on both ends
Wasn't
of the board.
I was saving myself for overtime.
There comes O.
yeah. See, he was in. I don't know how much time's left in here, but I remember saying, "I'm not waiting." David was one of those kids that he could score 3 buckets in 30 seconds.
Well, he has that spurt coming up here where, first of all, you really see what kind of player he's going to be, but
Forster scored 8 points in the first quarter, 6 in the second, 7 in the third.
Pretty consistent.
This is the second end of the 1-and-1. He has 22 points. It's 51-47, a 4-point lead. Sicking. Outside it goes to Reed. And we get a foul called on Forster. Fouling Sicking. Forster picks up hit down in Richland, which is located in Atlantic County. They came up last night. They had a 2-hour-plus trip to come up here. They did not want to do it on the day of the game.
yeah, shocking, coach, that you went up and stayed overnight.
That's me.
That's you.
I probably was at this game 2 hours early.
That's another statement.
Hey, Tom, but he wouldn't have got a coach bus, though, Tom. Yellow school bus.
6 minutes even.
Or could have been a couple vans. Have him and Kaz drive everybody up.
Bingo. Now they're in that zone.
Has been the biggest margin in this contest. Don't
Get
go
the
away.
zone.
It's going to be close throughout. You get a foul down low, and it will be called against Dan Florin. That's his third, and a player will go to the line for a 1-and-1. I believe it will be Steve Sicking. Sicking had 9 points in the first half, or was held scoreless in the third quarter.
I was just going to say, we haven't heard too much from Sicking, but right now he has a chance to get him back within a deuce.
Oh,
Gets the
my
rebound
God.
off
Get that
the miss.
guy out of there.
Looking to open up a 6-point lead to
What about this
Madison
good foul shooting team?
Yay, cricket. I've already missed 3. I know that. I've been counting.
Takes it to the village.
Steve, you're going to go out in your backyard and start shooting foul shots after this, aren't you?
I'm already doing it.
Here's Foster, knocked away by Sicking. Right into the hands of Byfield. Cotton will put up the banker. And now,
Another ankle.
Another ankle.
And will be looked at by Vito Racine. Orlandini with the ball, knocked away by Byfield.
Still plenty of time left.
6-point deficit the Hermits are working against, though. Inside, McClendon doesn't get it. Ball tapped around. McClendon puts up the follow. No good. Tapped around again, and it's taken down by Forster.
Down 6, and they've got the ball.
How much time about?
I gotta say about 4 minutes.
In front of his bench. Bullets a pass to Florin.
Not looking good here.
Need a timeout,
No.
man.
And they will
Call it.
timeout as with
Third person right now, and he's got them all back in the ball game.
You guys are showing the right game, right? I mean, we didn't.
May come right back in at any moment. Back to action. Capuzio.
Was I there?
Orlandini. The Hermits need a basket here. Reed on the turnaround.
Yeah,
No
2
good.
words for you
Capuzio
guys.
on the
Chris
follow
Reed,
is
because
fouled.
he comes to the rescue here towards the end of this
Two
game.
shots.
David's got his minutes.
Fire.
Neil has hit the foul shots, coach, you talk about.
Yeah.
Yeah. Crucial.
Ryan Quinn is
Those foul shots were unbelievable.
And he might not have hit the net on both of them.
Yeah.
I don't think anything moved.
Hey, Capucho's a good foul shooter. He hits a few here late too.
Beauty. Ooh.
This is a great opportunity right now.
0 in on
3
that.
minutes left. We're down 8. 7 now. Yeah.
4:25 showing on the scoreboard.
Can I get this sent to me, this section?
Yeah, the announcer just said 4:25 left.
This is the first time we pressed.
Works his way up the sideline, breaks the press, 3 on
Desperate
1.
times.
Has it knocked away from behind. Here come the Hermits, and now it's restolen.
Oh, God.
Restolen by Sicken.
Getting ugly. It's getting ugly.
Orlandini.
This is Orlandini's play. No?
Yep.
Yeah.
Sophomore moves in, puts up the banker.
Nice.
Special right there.
Yeah.
Dave Orlandini has
Beautiful. I remember that. Oh, my
That
God.
was a great play by Orlandini.
They called timeout.
Sophomore.
On the screen. Look at the sophomore pick up the ball right
Look at
now.
Orlandini's
He's going to
play.
take it
Wait,
over
they have
himself,
replays?
but the best is yet to come. Gets it down low. Gets Bayley Ellard off their feet.
Oh, he gets it.
And that young man's in 10th grade.
It's easy now, like, to look back because you know how good of a player he became. But like, you see those glimpses. Wait,
He's 15 years old.
Yeah.
Bayley Ellard will inbound the basketball. Everton Byfield.
Where did he play? Princeton? Is that right?
Yeah.
How was his career at Princeton?
Good.
Good?
He had big brothers in the backyard that I grew up with. That was a tough crowd. That was a good scene.
Jerry, the famous line in the book, Pete Carrill's book, David was playing for him at the time, and they asked him, "What does Dave Orlandini give you?" And he said, "Headaches."
Shut up.
Yeah.
Muzz Lindsley wants to get him back in the lineup.
We're down 4 here now, right?
Yeah.
Like the fact that
Yep.
Capuzio is on
It might
the
be me
line
again.
Now he's an
It
85% free throw shooter on the year.
Oh, boy. Oh, boy.
He jinxes you, though, Steve.
This is when we felt the tide turning, though. The whole bench is rolling now.
Yeah.
It's a much shorter bench than today's teams, huh?
Your mic is still not working well.
I think I still have those wristbands.
In and out. Van Johnson has the rebound, and he is called for traveling. So on the turnover.
Yeah, that travel call.
Nice.
Yeah.
We needed that call. That was a good one.
Underneath the Hermits.
Well, you got it.
Very big inbound play right now.
Reed will inbound.
You're right, Tommy. I think you guys are starting to feel it right here.
Here's Orlandini.
Orlandini. Pass.
I remember Dave Orlandini
Nice.
Go to
saying,
work,
"We
Steve."
got this.
By the Hermits as well.
We're going to do this."
And all alone down the court is Johnson. And he fouled.
Oh, boy.
And one?
Nice. Steve.
I remember that. I remember that play like it was yesterday.
Yeah.
I thought that play was going to be the difference in the game.
Yep.
Was all alone.
And that's his fourth.
Yeah.
Instead, tried to block it, fouled him. Johnson made the
You made him
basket.
think about it.
And Johnson scores his first 2 points of the ball game, Herb. And he's looking
Very
to
calm,
complete the
Coach. Still
three-point
very
play.
calm.
What are we down 3 again?
You're gonna be now. You'll be down 5, I think, with this one.
Senior misses it. Ball
Or I think it's
after action
5, yeah.
down to Orlandini. 57-54, 3:23 left to
3.
go.
3. Okay.
Oh, nice move.
Orlandini.
Capuzio, no good. Johnson
Ugh.
tries for the rebound. Forster races it across. Goes to Byfield. Byfield puts up the bank, and he gets the roll.
Now it's 5.
5, and there's like 2.5 minutes.
Everton
Yeah.
Byfield. Orlandini. Inside Sicky.
Good pass.
Yeah, nice pass.
Here's that last basket
Three.
by Byfield as we're back to a 3-point ball game.
Nice pass across the way. Up and off the boards. Watch it roll around and in.
Back to action. This is Quinn in the corner. Outside it goes Forster. Goes to Byfield. Byfield has a lane. And gets the roll again.
The little guard's getting every bounce right now. Still plenty of time left.
2:27. And now we get a foul outside called against Dan Florence.
So, Coach, you couldn't have had too many games that you were losing, right? I mean,
No.
27 games at this point. And the 2 games you lost were, they said in the thing, only by 3 points.
Yeah, we were right in every game. I mean, we were ahead in most of these games. Orlandini now is a very good foul shooter.
He will have the bonus of the 1-and-1.
I think Sicking gets a steal on the inbounds play here. And a bucket. Oh, then he pushed the kid out of the way.
Throw down.
But then he gets a steal here, right here.
Now he gets us fouled.
Yes.
Yeah, but that was
Right there.
a bad ball.
That was a bad call.
It was.
You look at, I think they showed the replay.
Steve Sicking has just fouled out of the ball game.
Steve, I don't think you knew it was 5 either, right?
No.
You're like,
I think they called one on me that was supposed to be Nealis.
Scoring 15 points.
It was from the warm-ups.
Yeah, right.
He will also take with him his leadership and his 6'5" body. And the only advantage that Paul Rodeo sees now is that he can bring in another 6'5" player, but I think he'd rather have.
There's no coincidence that we were down 12 at this point. I lead with 1:30 left, and we tie the game and win it overtime.
And for the current Hermits, that's Don Casolaro right there with the flower on. Assistant coach. There you go, Steve, your last basket.
Oh, nice.
It was a good one.
It was. That was a nice move.
Down the other way, Johnson for the 1-and-1 misses it, and Nealis, the player who replaced Sicking, gets the rebound. Chance.
What are we down, 3, Cat?
2
Yeah, 5.
Yeah.
Oh, no, 2.
2, yeah.
Yeah, because it was 5. You got the free throw, then the rebound, the putback.
Well, obviously, Coach, you went to Nealis because you knew he was going to make some foul shots,
He
right?
had to make these 2 foul shots. I'm telling you, he just about hits the net, let alone the rim. Nealis, stop.
I think Meese and I on the bench says, what are the odds this is going in?
He gives the biggest sigh of relief after making these, but they were huge.
It does not touch the rim.
Yeah, it seriously does not even come close.
You guys were getting some good airtime on that bet, or you
Right?
jumped. Oh my gosh.
You know who that is at the end of that bench, all the way to the right? I'm going to go right up to him here.
Urban Washington.
Father LaRosa.
Father Steve, yeah.
Yeah, LaRosa. Yep.
Is it tie now?
My game.
You get a chance to win it.
You can do this.
1 minute, 40 seconds left to play. Bayley Ellard with the ball. Here's Byfield.
That's tough.
2-point lead for the Bishops.
Oh,
63,
class Chris right there.
Vintage. That's vintage Chris right there.
Yeah. Cool.
No pressure.
63 all with 1:19 left.
Let's read.
Forster goes to Byfield.
They may try and look to score too soon. If I were them, I'd hold the ball out right now.
Uh-oh. But you're not coaching there, announcer.
It's a move along the baseline. Has it blocked by Nealis.
Nealis. Yep.
Jump ball. Notice the defensive tap that we have set up here. I've said this at clinics, and now you don't do it as much anymore, but we already were in that setup, ready before they got there.
Well, you watch the one in overtime. Watch how quick Spidell gets to the spot that where Nealis is now.
Yeah.
Exactly.
You guys fundamentally, we're pretty good. I got to say.
Yeah, the opening is here, and that's where the tap went, right to that side.
Boom.
53 seconds left.
Crucial.
Call for time.
Nice.
That was big. The average Joe will never understand that.
No. How big that play was.
The Hermits will have the best.
We break the huddle too quick here. I wasn't done. Watch that. So I remember that.
Reed said, I heard enough.
We got it. Awesome video.
Coach, any idea? Do you remember? Were you telling him to hold for 53 seconds? Were you going to hold for the last?
I remember saying that we wanted to run it down. He needed to get.
Oh,
I remember I wanted
awesome video.
Puccio on a wing. Your best things. Puccio or Chris Reed at the top. And I remember telling Chris, under 10, you got to look. Let it go.
That's the story. 63-63. And let's see what the Hermits do.
Bayley Ellard's playing a man-to-man right now. They've got to front all the cutters down low.
Orlandini has it knocked away from behind, but
that's a really well-run play. I think they show the
little flex cut on the baseline.
Yeah.
There.
Romano sets the screen, but
Yeah, he sets
really well.
Cut through the lane. Orlandini gets it down low.
Perfect.
Gets fouled from in front. The block from behind was good. The foul was from the man in front of him.
That was Brian Quinn as Orlandini makes the first. 64-63.
They hit one at the corner.
35 seconds left. Makes them both.
Nice.
Ice water.
65-63. 30 seconds left in the fourth quarter.
Right there is where he hits it from.
Yeah, and it's not even a set. He just pulls up and shoots it.
Yeah.
Florin will take it. Oh! Not the man you would expect to do it. Cans the corner jumper. It's tied at 65 with 11 seconds left. Capuzio.
No timeout from Coach Rodeo.
Johnson with the rebound with 5.
I never do it.
And we might
didn't work there.
Capucci almost had it, Steve.
By Florin is no good.
Yeah.
But we got a foul called on Tony Romano.
Oh.
I can edit it out.
Van Johnson
Yeah.
will step to the line for a
So the video jumped right into
overtime.
The overtime.
That's
now,
crazy.
Coach,
Whoa.
you went to Spidell here, not Nealis. Any idea what you were thinking?
I thought that the only thing I remember,
Lifestyle.
I needed defense. I thought Doggy would rebound for me.
He would do that.
Better, and give me more defense at the other end. And ironically, he sets the good pick coming up.
Yep.
Bayley Ellard still playing their man-to-man defense.
First, Chris Reed decides I'm taking over. Whack.
Got it.
The senior, however, off a 2-point lead.
God bless him.
This is Everton Byfield. Herb Cotton, of course, went down, one of the starters, with an injury to his ankle earlier. He has not come back on, despite the fact that he was taped up.
Boeheim zone. 2-3.
Nice. It was. They said they didn't love this.
Byfield and Florin are also playing with bad ankles.
And Forster's playing with 4 fouls as well, so they're in trouble.
Foul called against Tony Romano. And Romano was
Hey, Tom, can we go back to those uniforms? Those are classic. I think the new ones, you ought to go triangle on the side. You can make the shorts longer.
I don't know if they fit the current branding. Maybe we'll change a font, put a different logo, but maybe the same style.
I remember the pinstripe warm-ups.
Go retro. Funny.
Huge miss.
They have not gone to the line all that much, the Bishops, but they have.
Coach, another little one. Watch your box outs here. Guy gets the shooter. Everybody's right fundamentally, right where they're supposed to be.
Is from the foul line.
Virgil right there.
Capuzio with the ball and his team leading by 2. The Hermits don't have to rush anything. They're in the
play.
Nice. By Quinn.
There was the pick.
Coach, you still run that 37 minutes
We
later, right?
really haven't run. Yeah, we have it in.
Brian Quinn. And here's a look at that beautiful.
But that was run perfectly. Doggy.
Dog.
Perfect. Off a screen and goes up very strong and was.
Yeah, but when you used to run it with some players, you used to throw it as an alley-oop.
Shooting 2.
Crest.
As opposed to the Bishops, which they've been
All these
having
big
that
foul
fun
shots
on the
down the
line.
stretch were not even hitting the rim.
St. Augustine has been
That's Father
Yep.
Steve, just
very
to my
good
right.
from
Yeah.
the free throw strike.
Like he's on 34th Street in Ocean City.
That's exactly right. Or
Yep.
somewhere on
Atlantic City.
Avenue, Atlantic City, New Jersey.
That's right.
And this is a delay here. This is what you're supposed to do when you have a lead.
Oh, this might be where David turns it over.
Oh, yeah, it is. Never mind.
Oh, but you do go into a delay. That's
Yeah,
just
right here
incredible.
coming up.
A reminder that Bayley Ellard has not substituted all that much, and perhaps
Pulling your hair out a little bit there on that.
ball game is beginning to show.
Bayley Ellard has to put the ball into Foster's hands right now. Since the Hermits have gone to the zone, Foster has not been able to touch it. He just got his hands on it now. He's going to have to do something.
Scored 21 points through the third quarter, has 22, held to 1 point in the fourth quarter. Byfield has it knocked away but recovers, and we will have a jump ball.
That doggy got there right away already.
And Chris Reed, Paul Rodeo.
This is another jump that's important, and we get it to that same spot.
A long bus ride home either way. He'd like to make it an enjoyable one. Muzz Lindsley has a shorter ride, but he just wants it to be.
There's no doubt watching this now, you can see how important the substitutions were for us. And they just mentioned that Bayley Ellard hasn't substituted their entire. It's clear our bench was significant in this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
McClendon, he won't take that shot. They'll bring it outside. Spidell.
Great discipline. Great
That
discipline.
was very good. For a guy that was on the bench most of the game, my gosh. Fantastic.
33 seconds left. Orlandini almost loses it.
Four.
Gets it back with 28. It may be too late if they don't foul shortly. And now we got the foul.
Now it's there.
That's
Perhaps though a little too late.
Oh,
Byfield.
Coach, it almost didn't matter who went to the line because they were all good foul shooters.
Yeah.
But I got to believe having Chris there, you had to feel pretty good.
Well, it was in his hands and Orlandini's hands up front. You thought him, those two are Steve.
Quite interesting was the fact that the jump ball which preceded this was done with 1 minute and 1 second left. And for 39 seconds, St. Augustine was able to hold on to the ball.
Chris Reed, who has scored his team's 4 points in overtime, misses it.
Oh.
Comes down to Foster.
It's got to be quick right now.
Foster puts it up. Doesn't get the roll. And the rebound comes
Big
down
rebound.
to Capuzzo, and that might do it.
This one is history, Matt. I guarantee it.
Orlandini with 8 seconds. And he is fouled by Florin with 6. Two-shot foul. Dave Orlandini will be at the line, and the Hermits on the sideline explode in jubilation.
The game lasted only an hour or so, but the lessons last a lifetime.
The buzzer
Yeah.
sounds. They don't think the wind's in the pocket at all.
You've got it. You want to see that clock get 0-0, and then you can say, I think we won.
4 players for the Hermits drop back on defense. I don't know, Herb, whether or not Dave Orlandini takes those foul shots with no one at the side.
At this stage, I think they're more concerned with their other players on the lane not getting any silly fouls. They get them away from the action. If they go in, fine. And if not, that's all right.
Another one all net.
There you go.
It is.
There's the fist pump.
The infamous fist pump.
Who grabs me first?
Tom Bonner.
Nope.
Nicky.
No.
Nicky Delibris.
Nicky Delibris. And then?
The shot does not go in at the buzzer, and that's it. St. Augustine has captured
The cat.
Yeah.
being champions.
Yo, Coach, I was just thinking about that. He was younger there than all of us are now.
He was
Oh, man.
I think I'm going to play the pick 4 tomorrow. 71-65.
Let me write that down.
I don't have to watch this interview, do I?
Oh yeah, we got to watch the interview. But the funny thing is, they do this interview and they give the MVP to Forrester. Forrest, you know, I guess he did have a great game. They probably picked it early. But to watch it now and to see what Chris did in the overtime, you know, I mean, obviously he was, I mean, but like Sicking said earlier, every time somebody did something to get you to the next point, somebody had a couple minutes, and Chris was kind of quiet the whole game up until right, you know, that fourth quarter.
Well, Coach, he had a little something of this kid has something with you. His jersey number was 22.
There you go.
All year long, we played against teams that were much big enough. We thought that we would be the most quick team every time we played on the court. And we had to box out and do a real good job. We had a fine season at 26-4.
All right, well, congratulations on that great season. 22 points tonight. I'm sure
So, Coach, at this time, you probably have, what, 100? You said this is your 5th year, so you got 100-plus wins?
Yeah.
That adjective often, but it certainly applies in this case. Now,
You ought to bring the hairdo back, Coach, with the mustache.
First appearance for you as a coach here in the state championship, just the second for the school. It's got to be a wonderful feeling.
Tremendous feeling. I can't express how good I feel. I think we got a tremendous following from our fans from down south. We played a really good basketball game when we were down by a few points and used our heads to come back and against a good basketball team. This team was quick. They boxed out. They did all the fundamentals well. It was just a good basketball game.
It seemed to me that their speed only really affected you just a little bit in the first quarter. Then you called a timeout when they took a lead. They did manage to get a lead of up to 8 points at one point, but the speed didn't really have much of an effect, it seemed, after the first quarter.
Like they've played against big teams all season, we've played against quick teams all season. I think it took us a little time to adapt to the floor, the size, and their quickness, but after a few timeouts and after the first quarter, we adjusted well, and the kids gave a heck of an effort, and that was the difference.
Well, congratulations on the
your
win.
ears
It's a long
with the,
ride home,
hair.
I'm sure it'll be a joyful one.
It's a long wait till next season, but it's going to be a good one. Thank you very much.
Paul Rodeo, the coach of the victorious St. Augustine prep team.
Bring the flower back on your
Herb, you'll just
jacket.
Have a safe trip home, Coach.
Herb, it was a heck of a ball game.
Certainly was, Matt. I think in the two guests that you've had following the ball game, it kind of tells the story of the game. The outstanding player in the entire ball game was Donnie Foster from Bayley Ellard. He's going to be a great player in college. And yet, if you had to try and pick someone from the winning club, I don't think it's that easy. They certainly played a team ball game all the way through, and in the end, I think it was their overall balance that became the determining factor.
The final score, once again, 71-65, as St. Augustine comes away with the boys parochial B championship. For her,
So you can't get better than that. Overtime wins, my goodness. For your first one, Coach, it probably added several years to you.
Oh, definitely. It's catching up every day.
Or took a few off.
It took a few, yeah. That's great.
Hey, guys, I appreciate all you guys coming on. That was really neat to be together like that.
Perfect.
Definitely has
Yeah, it was awesome.
Thank you, everyone.
Yeah. So
Tommy, thank you for putting this thing together. You're the one that was behind all this.
No, I'm just glad you guys were able to do it.
Thank you.
So if everybody could just, I'm sure has a final comment or something. I know we all do. So I don't know, Tommy, why don't you kick it off? What are your final thoughts on it?
I mean, just you know, I take a look at where I'm at today, and St. Augustine and being a part of the program, relationship with Coach for 30 plus years. It's something I'll never forget. And I talk about this all the time. I'm in coaching still, and it's been a big part of my life, and I'm extremely proud of it. And I'm more proud of having a group of guys that to be around back then, to get together like this. When we have our reunions once in a while. It's just a great feeling, and I'm just glad to be a part of it.
Yeah. Hey, Jerry, how about you?
Yeah, I mean, same thing that Tommy said. I mean, it's something I'll never, ever forget. Big part of my life, and great to have friendships with guys to this day. I mean, Kat and Steve, we go to Sixers games together, and it's to see Coach Rodeo at the golf tournaments and stuff. It's awesome. It's a great thing to be a part of, for sure.
Virgil?
Wow. Well, first, it's always good seeing you guys, and we do this on occasion, so definitely appreciate this opportunity. I think two things. Number one, I look at this game and I think not so much about this game, but it was the journey, the whole year. The practices. That's what comes to my mind whenever I see this. I've seen this a few times. I think about some of the practices, some of the things, some of the fun times we had all throughout the year, and that's what I think that's what I appreciate most about this whole experience. So that and I have to say, Tommy, he mentioned Coach Rodeo. There's a picture in my yearbook of me, one of the pictures of me and Coach Rodeo's in the background. And I think it's just so apropos about, my life since leaving St. Augustine, the impact that Coach Rodeo and the whole entire basketball program, as well as the school, just impacts me to this day. And so it's always good to come back and look back and just reminisce on these days. So thanks.
Thanks for doing it, Birch. Capuch, how about you?
Looking back, I remember that I felt very lucky and blessed. And I learned that the harder you work, the luckier you get. And it all made sense during those years. And I just thank you all that helped me grow up. And that's it. It was perfect.
Steve?
Good scene.
Yeah, I said it a few minutes ago. I say it again. The lessons you learn as an athlete on a team that's well coached, with players that are focused and determined. At the time, it's a game and it's fun and it's hard and it's a lot of foolishness, but it's exactly what carries you through life. Many of us are dealing with a very unusual circumstance now. Some of our businesses have been affected a great deal, but I can tell you, I refer back to the times there and what gets you through it. Maybe I'm in the fourth quarter right now with this COVID junk and I'm down maybe 6 or 8, but I just have to see this kind of video and I know, hey, we're going to be all right. We'll get through it. We'll figure it out, because teamwork and dedication, determination, and all the lessons that were learned, they carry
We're
with
in
you.
overtime.
They carry with you. So it was great. Thanks, fellas.
Well, Coach, I'll let you get the last word, but let me just say, first of all, thanks, guys, thanks, Tom, for putting this together, and all you guys
Very cool.
for jumping on and doing it. I've been excited about it since they asked me about it, and doing the games now, it's a lot of fun on the Hermits broadcasting. But to pick this game, Tom, thanks for doing that, because it meant a lot. And I said beforehand, this was the beginning of really the St. Augustine journey in basketball, and really it all comes back to Coach Rodeo and what you've meant and how you've done this. I'm so fortunate that I was able to coach there for such a long time, but I was also fortunate to see all of his state championship games and the wins. But maybe because we were kids, but this one, it means so much to all of us because it was the start of St. Augustine being really the dominant team in South Jersey for all these years. And like I said, it goes back to Coach Rodeo, and he's meant so much to all of us throughout the years. I can't even express how much he's meant to me. And it's been a lot of fun. It's been a great journey, and it's not over because he's still going strong. So thanks, guys. Coach, the last word's yours.
It's real simple. It's something I tried to teach you guys, and I try to teach it today. And I really, really, really believe it and mean it when I say you're only as good as the people you surround yourself with. And I've been blessed.
Well, thank you, Coach.
Thanks, Coach.
Yeah, thanks, Coach.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much.
Thanks, guys.
God bless.
It was good seeing everybody. Stay safe, and hopefully we come out of this this epidemic sooner than later.
No doubt.
Thanks, guys.
82 forever, guys. Nice job. Thank you.
Thanks, guys.
Right.
It was great seeing y'all.
Good
Yeah.
night, guys.
Thanks,
Take it easy.
guys.
Have a good night.
Steve.